Right, so this is the latest movie from Laszlo Nemes, who previously made Son of Saul, which was his first movie and happened to be a really good one too. In fact, I think it won him an Oscar, and that's not too shabby for a debut film. But now he's apparently back, and I say apparently because this one completely flew under my radar. I hadn't heard a peep about it until I found it mentioned on some year-end list. Which just goes to show how fickle the film industry is, even if you do have an Oscar. But when I glanced at the reviews and the audience reception, it was all very lukewarm, which indicated that I should probably temper my expectations for this one. But I was still excited to see what he'd come up with, and the story here follows a young woman in Budapest in the early 1900s, and the story here turned out to be a bit bizarre actually. Not in a totally out there and crazy way, it's just kind of a weird story to want to tell. Because I was well over an hour into this movie when I still wasn't completely sure what the actual point was. What the plot was actually getting at, what it was this woman really wanted, what her motivations were. It's all sort of hinted at, and there are suggestions as to what might be going on, but it's really a remarkably vague movie, and at the end of the day, I guess it's just about this young woman who feels displaced and she's looking for her place in the world. She wants to make sense of it all and she wants to figure out how to fit in. And as she arrives in town, she finds herself in the middle of something. There's a lot of tension around her, and I wouldn't say her arrival is exactly embraced with open arms. And that's basically what I got out of this, from a story and plot perspective. Because even toward the end, it doesn't really explain much more than that. I mean, it does go into the details behind all the tension and what's happened in the past. And all of that is fine, not everything needs to be spoon-fed to the audience. In fact, I prefer when it's not, but I also prefer when there is a little bit more clarity than this. Especially when it comes to the main character's motivation and what's going on inside her head. That's not to say I didn't enjoy this or that I thought the story was terrible. But I definitely didn't love it, but that had more to do with the pacing, to be honest. Because this is a slow burn, and because you don't know exactly what it's getting at, it does feel slow too. Especially that first hour feels very, very slow. However, after that it does pick up a bit. In fact, it gets pretty intense there for a second, and this guy knows how to make intense moments work. He has this way of sticking very close to the main character with the camera, making it feel very impactful and immersive. You feel what it's like to be there, and I love that. Unfortunately, after that little intense moment, it goes back to being rather slow again. Not as slow as the first hour, but most of that tension and intensity is gone. Until it starts to pick up again a bit later on, toward the very end of the movie. And yeah, I just enjoyed those moments a lot more than the rest of the movie. Although I do get what he was trying to do with the rest of it too, and it did work okay. It's just that overall it's a rather quiet movie with very even and, I don't know, characters that are just very soft-spoken and don't tend to show a ton of emotion. And that combined with this sort of stiff dialogue makes this feel quite dry. For the most part, but there is always some tension in the air, and as I said, there are sequences that I definitely wouldn't call dry, and those moments are the moments where this movie shines. And I feel like this one might have worked better if it had been a tad bit tighter. I also didn't love the cinematography of this, it just has this soft and kind of washed out look to it. Which honestly makes it look and feel pretty boring and bland, and that's unfortunate. And as a result, I thought this was just sorta okay, but definitely nothing extraordinary. But how about it? Would I recommend this? Maybe, but I don't think it's for most people, to be honest. So maybe give it a look, maybe don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.